Heyo! Welcome back to John Opens Stuff. This is going to be kind of a quick one because the stuff I'm opening is a pair of Dominaria United pre-release kits. I was not able to play in the pre-release because there was this little event going on in Atlanta called Dragon Con, and I was a little busy all weekend. So when I got home, I picked up a couple of leftover pre-release kits from my game shop because I wanted them. So Dominaria was the original plane where Magic the Gathering started. So all of your original sets, revised, unlimited, beta, alpha, Urza's Saga, Weatherlight, all that stuff happened on Dominaria. So this is the 30th anniversary of the creation of Magic the Gathering. So they're going back to where it all began. It even says that. Oh, yeah, it says that on the booster box. Return to where it all began. We'll open that in a later video. I'm also going to shoot that today, but you're not going to see it for a little bit. So let's check out what you get in a pre-release kit. These are little counters that you can pop out and use for things. Shield or stun or death touch. They've got all kinds of situations in Magic now that add counters of various types. And I don't know what that's for, but it's pretty. Got the little stained glass Magic the Gathering symbol. And then that goes in the recycling. Alrighty, so you get this box, and the idea is that you are playing a pre-release tournament, so you use the box to hold the deck that you build. And you get a spin down D20. This is not like a typical D20 because it starts at 20, 19, 18, 17, and the numbers are sequential. So as your opponent smacks you, you roll it down to a different number so everybody can keep track of your life. I don't typically use spin down counters myself because I find them to be a pain in the ass. You know, somebody shakes the table and all of a sudden you don't know what your life total is. This is some stuff about the set, pretty art, whatever. They all come with a Magic the Gathering Arena code. I guess whoever pauses this video and types the code in first will get some free Arena stuff. I don't play Arena very much. It's a little clunky on Mac, and I'm not really a good enough player to make it profitable. So it's just a money sink, so I'd rather buy cards and play them however I like. Each pack contains a foil stamped pre-release promo. This is an Adarkar Wastes, which is called a Painland. You can tap it for colorless, or you can tap it for a white or a blue, and it deals 1 damage. And it's foil. All the pre-release promos are always foil. This is pretty new art. If the card is typically expensive, I usually keep it in the cellophane, but these Painlands have been reprinted time and again. Even in foil, this might get to $5. I don't know. But then you have 6 packs, and you use these 6 packs to build a 40-card minimum Magic deck. Well, we're not going to do that because we aren't playing a pre-release. So I'm just going to be cracking packing. These are draft boosters, so they're more like a traditional Magic booster pack. You'll have a bunch of commons. This is interesting. They've printed a lot more of these enter the battlefield tapped dual lands that have multiple basic land types, so they're easier to fetch up. And that's kind of a new thing over the past couple of years. All right, now we're into uncommons. this is a new mechanic here, read ahead. With sagas, the way they work is when you cast the spell, it starts on chapter 1, and that immediately happens. So typically you'd pay 1 and a blue, and then you could cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand without paying its mana cost. And then it's an enchantment, and during your draw step, after your draw step, you move to different chapters. But with read ahead, you can jump. So if you just want to pay 1 and a blue to make a target player mill 4 cards, go for it. If you want to say 1 and a blue to exile target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, copy it, you can cast the copy. Rock on. You don't get the effects of any chapters that you skip. Dragon Whelp. It's a baby dragon. Nael Avizoa Aeronaut. 2 blue-green, flying domain. Whenever Nael Yabba Yabba deals combat damage to a player, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom in a random order. Then if there are 5 basic land types among lands you control, draw a card. So this is pretty good. If you're using your common dual lands, say you're using... So this guy costs blue and green to cast. Well, this Wooded Ridgeline, Mountain Forest, green, red. So I could use this to cast this, and it would give me an additional basic land type other than what I need. So if I have an island and a Wooded Ridgeline and a couple of other forests or islands, I get to look at 3 cards instead of 2. It's not bad. I don't think these things are going to be terribly playable in Commander because of the mana symbols. You can't play things that don't match your commander's color identity, but they're really good in Limited. So there we go. Oh, pretty. Another Adarkar Wastes. This one's a full art. Those are really pretty. I probably want one of each of these in foil because, well, they're shiny. And then, I don't know what I'll do with all the rest. Probably stick them in a box. And then Geothermal Bog. It's another dual land, comes in tapped, and shiny. And then a basic. Not bad. I don't know the value of the cards in this set yet. I haven't been paying a lot of attention because I knew I wasn't going to get to play the pre-release. I played this guy though last night in a draft. Was it a draft? Yeah, it was a draft. Deathbloom Gardener, 2 and a green for a 1/1 Death Touch. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Perfectly fine. Not spectacular, but it was okay. Micromancer. Okay. Comes in, get a instant or sorcery with mana value 1. Choking Miasma. Okay. They've rebooted a lot of old keywords and abilities for this set. Kicker is one. Kicker's a great ability because you can pay this for 2 black and a colorless, or you can pay 2 black, a green, and a colorless and get a bonus. So if you've got a bunch of 2/2s and you kick this, then your stuff becomes 3/3s and all your opponent's stuff that's 2/2s is dead. Mossbeard Ancient, 7 mana, 7/7, trample, gain 5 life. Yeah, there's an old card that's similar to this, only Palaka Worm, I think, is a 7 mana, 7/7, and comes in, you gain 7 life, and I think when it leaves, you draw a card. Or maybe I'm backwards. It may be it comes in, you draw a card, and leaves, you gain 7 life. Whatever. Palaka Worm's a little better, but this is still pretty good. Rith, Liberated Primeval. Legendary creature, dragon. 2 colorless, red, green, white. This is the showcase treatment for this set. It's stained glass, and I think it's really pretty. Flying, Ward 2. Other dragons you control have Ward 2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. So that means that if you attack your opponent with this flying 5/5 and they block with a flying 2/2, well, you're going to kill that creature. And it's excess damage, so you will, at your end step, get a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. You can also accomplish this by, let's say they block with a 3/6, and you wouldn't have normally been able to get through. But you've got a lightning bolt, so you deal 3 damage to the creature, making it effectively a 3/3. Then your 5/5 deals excess damage to it, and you get a dragon at the end of the turn. Not bad. Coalition Warbrute, foil, basic forest, soldier token. And I expect to see a lot of creatures and characters from Magic's history in this set. Because, well, we already have. Tattered Apparition. So this is a throwback to some of the cards from the very earliest Magic sets, which were almost always 3 and a black, 2/2s, pay something something, and it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. Except they always looked like they should fly, and they never did. So now this one finally flies. Good job, Wizards. Thanks. Only 25 years late. Whatever. Vohar, Vodalian Desecrator. Green, black. Legendary creature, Phyrexian, Merfolk Wizard. Yeah, that's enough creature types. 1/2, tap to draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Pay 2, sacrifice whatchamacallit. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. This guy's fine, I guess. I don't expect to build around it in Commander. Valiant Veteran, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Other soldiers you control get +1/+1. Pay 5, exile it from your graveyard. Put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control. Yeah, seems solid. Oh, look, you've got an emblem. Cool. We'll talk about a Johnny later, I'm sure. Well, I mean, I guess we will if I open it. But the whole lore thing of a Johnny being a sleeper agent for the Phyrexians is wild. Because he's kind of the goodest of the good guys. Elvish Hydromancer. Elf Wizard. 2 and a green. Kicker, 3 and a blue. Jeez. Ah, that's why. It's a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. This is a brilliant limited card. For 2 and a green, you get a 3/2 early. Rock on. That's perfectly reasonable. Late game, however, you don't want a 3/2. It's useless. But if you can pump 7 mana into it and get a copy of your other big bomb-ass creature, now you've got something worth doing. Knight of Dusk's Shadow. This makes sense because historically in the base sets, there's always been a black knight and a white knight card. So this is the black one. 1 and a black, 2/2, has menace. Your opponents can't gain life. 1 and a black to give it +1/+1 till end of turn. Still pretty basic, but strong. Rulikmon's Warren Chief. 1 red, green, green. Legendary creature, Goblin. Menace. Whenever Yabba Yabba attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you can put it on the battlefield tapped. If you didn't put a card onto the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Okay. Even if it is a land card, if you don't want to put it onto the battlefield, you can still choose not to and make a token because that says make. Ow, 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 ow. Come here, buddy. Hang on, y'all. So, Stevie decided, look at the people, Stevie, say hi. Stevie decided that my knee looked like a pincushion right then. And I decided that Stevie was incorrect. Caves of Koilos, just another pain land, who cares? Basic, zombie. And now Stevie is sitting on the magic table, looking around, trying to figure out what kind of devastation he can cause in my life right now. Protect the negotiators, 1 and a blue. Make a token. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 colorless for each creature you control. It's pretty solid, especially in limited. Wingmantle Chaplain, 3 and a white. There's support for Cleric Tribal in this set. Defender, when it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying for each creature with Defender you control. Whenever another creature with Defender enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. This kind of seems amazing, and there's some pretty serious support for Defender Tribal in this set. Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, 1 white, 1 black, legendary creature, Phyrexian Core Cleric. Death Touch, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. This seems solid in a white-black zombies or white-black clerics. I likey. Golden Argosy. It's a vehicle, 4, legendary artifact vehicle. Whenever it attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step, crew 1. It's a 3/6, so you can tap any number of creatures you control with total power 1 or more, and then this becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So what that means is if you've got a bunch of creatures with great enter the battlefield abilities, tap them all, overcrew this guy. Then it attacks, they get exiled, and they come back at the end of your turn, and you'll get their enter the battlefield effects. You can also use this to save your creatures from a board wipe. If this is out and someone casts Damnation, which destroy all creatures, you just... Nope, that doesn't work. Never mind. Oh well. Dang it, Wizards. I thought this could be broken, but no, it's just decent. It's not fantastic, but it's decent. Ooh, pretty. This is the showcase version of the basic lands. I want some in foil. And then another soldier token. Here's our Tattered Apparition again. Bunch of commons. Ah, they reprinted Bone Splinters in here. I really like this. I really like this person's art. This looks like the art for a couple of cards that they've done in recent sets. I just think it's very neat and stylized and different from a lot of the stuff we see in Magic. Relic of Legends. Pay 3, tap to add 1 mana of any color. Tap an untapped legendary creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. So if you're doing Legend Tribal, this can ramp you immensely. I think this is probably going to be pretty useful in Commander. Tail Swipe. Fight. Urg. Spawn of Turg. This really reminds me of Rick's turd. Also, it's nasty. Black, black, green for a legendary creature, Frog Beast. Urg. Spawn of Turgs. I'm probably never going to say this card name except like that. Is equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, pay a green and a black, sack a land, you gain 2 life. And it's star 5 because its power is equal to the land in your graveyard. This guy seems fun. Maybe in a Spirit of Windgrace Land Matters deck. Leaf-Crowned Visionary. Green, green. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay green. If you do, draw a card. That's gross. Because elf decks make an obscene amount of mana and a ton of little elves. So I don't know what the hell they just knocked over in my house, and I'm not going to go look yet. You can draw a ton of cards, and I can absolutely see you, if you have the mana for it, or you have something like a Growing Rites of Itlimoc or a Gaia's Cradle, you can chain this into pay a green, draw a card. Oh, look, it's an elf. Pay a green, draw a card. Yeah, this can get stupid in a hurry. Land. Add card. That's our first pre-release pack. I think it probably would have ended up as a decent pre-release box. I think that there's probably a decent deck in there. It seemed a little light on removal, but I didn't pay a ton of attention to the commons. Unfold all this. And pack 2, different spin down. Oh, nice. Shivan Devastator. This is a really good dragon. It's X and red, flying haste. Shivan Devastator enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. So early game, and I had this in draft last night, early game, maybe it's a 2/2 flyer with haste. That's still pretty darn good. Or a 3/3, or a 4/4. Later on, it can be stupid. I never got it to stupid. It was usually a 2/2 or a 3/3 for me. But this, as a pre-release foil, probably holds decent value. And yeah, it's probably going to go into the trade binder because I can't play it in my Miram Commander deck because the copy would come in as a 0/0. And that's kind of useless. Walking Bulwark. 1 mana for an 0/3 defender. Pay 2 until end of turn. Target creature with defender gains haste, can attack as though it didn't have defender, and assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Activate only as a sorcery. This is pretty good. And there's Defender Tribal is definitely a thing in draft in this format. Slimefoot Survey. Go get land. Now, this is not as good as I thought it was the first time I played it last night in draft, because it's similar to the blue-green card we looked at earlier. You search your library for up to 2 land cards that each have a basic land type. So you can get triomes with this, because they do have a basic land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. You look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I thought it said put 1 into your hand. So it's less amazing than I thought it was. Still pretty darn good. Tatyova, Steward of Tides. Green, green, blue, legendary creature, Merfolk Druid. Land creatures you control have flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control up 7 or more lands Up to one target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. So this merfolk is sitting there, and you play a land, and then your land can fly across and smack your opponent. Meh. Seems decent. Isn't amazing, but seems decent. Herd Migration. 6 and a green. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each basic land type among lands you control. So you could theoretically, for 7 mana, create 6 3/3 green beast creature tokens. Mountain, island, forest, plains, swamp, wastes. Pay 1 and a green, discard it, search your library for a basic land card, put it into your hand, gain 3 life. Yeah, it's kind of like, it feels a little bit like Kicker because it's got a cheap, or Channel. It's got a cheap ability if you throw it away, and then it's expensive to cast, but strong. Yeah, not bad. So far, this set feels like a reduction in power level over some of the more recent, more advanced sets, but it feels like a pretty heavy flavor win, and I don't think it's a bad thing to reset the power level down every few sets. Braid's Frightful Return. 2 and a black. Enchantment Saga with read ahead. Phase 1. You may sacrifice a chapter. If you do, each opponent discards a card. Stevie, please stop eating my book box. He's not going to stop eating that box of books. Chapter 2, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Chapter 3, target opponent may sacrifice a non-land, non-token permanent. If they don't, they lose 2 life and you draw a card. I don't like this card. I think that it's, I love the art. I think the art's great. I think the card's not terribly powerful. Rona's Vortex. 1 blue, return target creature or planeswalker you don't control to its owner's hand. If this spell was kicked, put that permanent on the bottom of its owner's library instead, and the kicker is 2 and a black. That seems solid. Najal the Storm Runner. 2 blue, blue, red. Legendary creature, Ifrit Wizard. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. Whenever Najal the Storm Runner attacks, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Yeah, seems decent. And it's a 5/4. So, yeah, it's fine. Silverback Elder. 2 green, green, green. Creature, ape shaman, 5/7. It's a big old monkey. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose 1. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or gain 4 life. This might actually go into my Volo commander deck to replace Kogla, the Titan Ape. But I gotta look and see if I have another Shaman already in that deck. Because if I play this, I want to get 2 of them. And then a Pretty Forest. And then a Saproling. I don't tend to keep the tokens that I open because I generally play with Infinite tokens, which are dry erase tokens, so that I have to carry less crap. Because I'm carrying 8 or 10 commander decks, and that's heavy enough. Combat Research. Enchantment Aura. 1 blue. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. As long as enchanted creature is legendary, it gets +1/+1 and has ward 1. This is kind of like a fixed curiosity, but meh. It's good and limited. I don't think I care for much of anything else. Hurler Cyclops, 3 red, red for a 5/4 creature Cyclops. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature. Hurler Cyclops deals 1 damage to any target. Good in a goblin deck. Good in any deck that's going to make a ton of crappy little tokens. Protect the Negotiators again. Shieldred the Apocalypse. This one's good. This is one of the money cards of the set. 2 black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Death Touch. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. 4/5. This is a house, especially in Commander, where you've got more opponents and where your opponents are drawing a ton of cards. So this card's great. You got to protect it, obviously, but it's a 4/5, so it's going to be a little harder to get rid of in combat. Nah, I dig it. Tidepool Turtle. It's shiny. Swamp. Token. You might see some hitches in the video. That's when I'm pausing because I'm sniffly because my allergies are acting up. Yay me. It's North Carolina. Allergies are always acting up. Coalition Sky Knight. 3 and a white, creature, human knight, flying, enlist. 2/2. This is a new mechanic for this set. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature you control without summoning sickness. When you do, add its power to this creature's until end of turn. That's solid. It's not fantastic. It's completely fair. And really, who wants to play fair Magic? Balduvian Atrocity. 2 and a black for a creature, Phyrexian Berserker. 2/3, kicker, 1 red. Menace. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Sack it at the end of the beginning of the next end step. This is pretty good. I mean, it doesn't blow my doors off, but it's not bad. Vohar. Again. So, Voharhar. The Phasing of Zalfir. 2 and 2 blue, we're a Enchantment Saga with read ahead. 1 and 2. Another target non-land permanent phases out. It can't phase in for as long as you control the Phasing of Zalfir. And Chapter 3 is Destroy All Creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller creates a 2/2 black Phyrexian creature token. So I can see this either as just a board wipe for 4, which is strong, especially in blue. Blue doesn't get a Destroy All Creatures spell. Just at that, it's decent. But the ability to phase out one of your creatures and then on the next turn destroy everything and your creature phases back in is strong. Or if you've got a way to manipulate counters and remove counters from this, you can just keep phasing things out and protect this, and stuff will never come back if you can keep taking counters off it. So you bring it in on Chapter 1. At the end of your draw step, it goes to Chapter 2. So you've now phased out 2 creatures. But then you do something that takes a counter off, and it'll go back to Chapter 1. So then on your next turn, hey, look, it goes to Chapter 2. You phase something else out, you do the thing to take the counter off again, and then it's gone. Forest, Phyrexian. See, this makes these. Phyrexians are scary. They're like the OG big bads from Magic the Gathering. Other than, you know, your opponent. Mossbeard Ancient, we looked at him. Linebreaker Baloth, 3 and 2 green for a creature beast with enlist. 4/5, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. I played this last night in draft, and this is a scary card in limited. I lost a lot, so while it was scary, it wasn't terribly effective, but it was fun. Aaron, Benalia's Ruin. White, white, black, legendary creature, Phyrexian human with menace, 3/3. White-black, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah. Strong. Decent. Pretty. Stronghold Arena. 1 and a black. Kicker. Green and or white. You may pay an additional green and or white as you cast this spell. When Stronghold Arena enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life for each time it was kicked. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. Meh, it's fine. Pretty swamp. Insect. This looks like the dude from... This looks like kind of like the bad guy from the end of the first season of The Magicians. Or at least it made me think of that guy. I lost to this card last night. Coral Colony. Pain in my butt. But taught me that Defender Tribal is a thing. 1 and a blue. Creature, wall. Defender. 1/4. That's a big but. It's hard to get through something with 4 toughness in the early going of a game. Pay 1 and a blue and tap it. Target player mills X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control with Defender. So just by getting 2 of these, your opponent mills you 4 cards a turn because you pay 1 and a blue to activate each one. They see each other. They each do 2. So that's 4 per turn. Killed me dead. Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. No, wait. Love Song of Night and Day. I like mine better. 2 and a white. Enchantment Saga with read ahead. Chapter 1. You and target opponent each draw 2 cards. Not bloody likely. Chapter 2. Create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying. Not impressive. Chapter 3. Put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target... Wow, I don't like this card. Garna, Bloodfist of Keld. 1 black, red. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna, Bloodfist of Keld deals 1 damage to each opponent, and it's a 4/3. I like this one. If it's attacking, kill it. I'll have to get a ruling because I don't know how this works with decayed zombies. Because the zombies are sacrificed at the end of the combat step, but it's no long... I don't know. I don't know if it's still an attacking creature at the end of combat step. If so, this could be gross with something that makes a lot of decayed zombies. Either way, it's a strong Rakdos Aristocrats strategy. Defiler of Instinct. 2 red, creature, Phyrexian Kavu. First strike, 4/4. As an additional cost to cast red permanent spells, you may pay 2 life. These spells cost 1 red less to cast if you paid life this way. This effect reduces only the amount of red mana you pay. Whenever you cast a red permanent spell, Defiler of Instinct deals 1 damage to any target. There's a whole cycle of these. They're all rare, and there's 1 for each of the 5 colors. I feel like they're probably strong. I just haven't figured out the best way to use them yet. So if I do, maybe I'll let you know. Shiny Mountain, Not Shiny Swamp, Elemental. And that's pack 2. That's our money. Some of this other stuff was good. I don't know if it's worth anything or not. So I'm out. I'm going to go take a Claritin. And until next time, y'all be good to one another. All right? Peace.